You are smart, but that's why you're not fluent. Have you ever felt smart, but somehow silent? You understand grammar. You know the rules. You even correct other people's mistakes. But when it is your turn to speak, your mind freezes. The words you studied disappear like smoke, and all that is left is silence. Being smart might be the very reason you are still not fluent in English. I learned this the hard way. One morning, I sat in a quiet cafe near the train station. Two students were beside me. One was speaking with laughter. Her sentences were far from perfect, but her ideas flowed like a river. The other sat still, eyes fixed on her notebook. Every time she opened her mouth, she stopped halfway. She whispered grammar rules under her breath. That second person was me years ago. I remember feeling ashamed. I had studied English for years. I knew every rule, but I could not speak a single sentence naturally. My intelligence became a mirror that only showed me what I lacked. It was painful to realize that knowing so much could make me so afraid to try. I wished someone had told me that knowledge without action becomes a weight, not a gift. Every word I left unsaid was a door I locked myself. Welcome to Learn English Listening. I am Lydia. Here, we do not just study English. We learn how to think, feel, and grow through it. We talk about courage, not only vocabulary. We build confidence, not just grammar. Here, you do not need to be perfect. You just need to begin. Which city are you joining us from, and what hour is it there? I love knowing who is learning with me around the world. Even though our accents differ, our hearts beat with the same dream to speak freely. Today, I will show you the hidden trap that keeps smart learners stuck, why the more you know, the less you speak, and how to break free from that cage once and for all. Smart learners often live inside a storm of thoughts. They study every rule, compare every method, and question every choice. They believe if they understand enough, fluency will arrive like magic. But English is not a formula. It is a rhythm. It lives in sound and breath, not in theory. The more they think, the less they act. The more they plan, the more they freeze. You might know this feeling. You sit down to practice speaking. You want to say something simple, maybe how your day was. But your brain interrupts you. It whispers, check the tense, fix the preposition, do not sound silly. The result is not a sentence. It is silence. Have you ever studied English for months, yet felt too afraid to speak? You are not alone. Millions of learners are locked inside that same quiet fear. I used to wake up early and tell myself I was preparing. I watched lessons for hours. I wrote long lists of grammar notes, but I was not preparing. I was hiding. Deep down, I feared sounding wrong. I feared losing the image of being smart. I thought mistakes would make me small. In truth, they would have made me real. When I finally understood that, I cried. I realized I had built my own prison with invisible walls made of pride. One student spends a week studying the difference between say and tell. Another listens to a podcast, repeats out loud, and laughs when she gets it wrong. One collects information, the other collects courage. Which one do you think speaks better today? Knowledge can fill the mind. Only practice fills the voice. People who overthink are like travelers staring at the map but never taking the first step. You can analyze every route, yet never see the road. The truth is simple. You will never think your way into fluency. You will only speak your way into it. Every mistake you make is not proof of failure. It is proof that you are alive in the language. The road may be messy, but it is the only road that leads anywhere. There is a secret most smart learners never discover. They believe English is a puzzle. They think if they collect enough pieces, one day everything will fit. But English is not a puzzle. It is a heartbeat. It does not live on paper. It lives in sound, in feeling, in courage. I learned this after years of frustration. One morning, I turned off my grammar app. I put on my headphones and listened to a short story. I whispered along with the voice. At first, it felt awkward. My accent was heavy. My rhythm was broken. But after a few minutes, something shifted. My brain stopped shouting rules. My heart started listening. For the first time, I felt English inside my body, not just inside my head. This is the hidden key. To become fluent, you must stop studying and start flowing. Let me teach you 3 phrases that can guide you. The first is, think outside the box. It means to stop following the same old rules and try new ways. The second is, go with the flow. It means to relax and move naturally with what you hear. The third is, practice makes progress. It means perfection is not the goal, growth is. When I began listening every morning for 10 minutes, my ears started catching patterns. I noticed the melody of words. I stopped translating and started feeling. Fluency is not memorizing the right answers. It is trusting yourself long enough to speak freely. The longer you stay in silence, the heavier it becomes. But once you let your voice out, the fear starts to melt away. Perfection, no matter how bright, is still a cage. It shines on the outside, but keeps your voice locked in. The more you wait to sound perfect, the longer you stay silent. What if the real secret to fluency is not studying harder, but listening softer? What if the best way to speak is to stop trying to sound smart and start sounding human? Maybe the key is not mastery, but freedom. There was a night when I finally broke down. I had studied English for years. My notebooks were filled with rules. My shelves were lined with grammar books. Yet when someone asked me a simple question, I froze. My voice disappeared. That night, I stared at my reflection and whispered, "What is wrong with me?" The truth was painful. I was not learning English anymore. I was performing intelligence. I wanted to look capable instead of being courageous. The next morning, I decided to do the one thing I had always avoided. I went to a cafe filled with tourists. My hands were shaking. I told myself, just try one sentence. When the chance came, I smiled and said hello. My voice trembled, but the world did not end. We talked for a few minutes. I made many mistakes. I forgot words, but they smiled back. For the first time, I felt alive in the language. That was the day I understood a powerful truth. Courage, not knowledge, builds connection. That is when I learned the phrase, break the ice. It means to start a conversation even when you feel nervous. I also learned to step out of your comfort zone. It means to do something that scares you a little, because that is where growth happens. Each time I spoke, I made mistakes, but each time I survived them, my fear became smaller. I went back to that cafe again and again. Each time, I said something new. Sometimes I forgot words. Sometimes I laughed at myself. But every time, it got easier. We are not judged by how perfect our grammar is. We are remembered by how real our voice feels. Perfection kills progress. Courage builds fluency. Every time you open your mouth, you prove that you are stronger than yesterday. When I stopped trying to sound smart, English began to sound beautiful. I remember one quiet morning. The air was soft. I made coffee and played an English story. I was not studying. I was simply listening. My mind rested. My heart understood. That quiet habit became my secret classroom. Your brain learns best when your heart is calm. When you listen without fear, your mind connects patterns you did not know you could recognize. You start hearing how sentences dance together. You do not need to understand every word. You only need to stay long enough for meaning to appear. Fluency grows slowly, like a tree. You cannot pull the branches to make it taller. You water it each day. You give it sunlight and patience. The same is true for English. You do not force it. You feed it with listening. You strengthen it with small, daily speaking moments. The sound of language becomes part of your breathing. In that silence, you begin to hear confidence. In that calm, your voice grows. Smart minds make plans. Brave hearts take small steps. Every quiet minute you spend listening is a seed planted in your future voice. Right now, you stand between comfort and growth. You can keep collecting grammar books and waiting to feel ready. Or you can begin to speak, imperfectly but freely. You already have everything you need. All that is missing is action. Here is your challenge. After this video, say one English sentence out loud. It does not matter if you sound strange. It only matters that you speak. Tell the world you are ready. Because when you say that first sentence, something powerful happens. The second one comes easier, and the third one feels natural. Soon your silence will turn into rhythm, and rhythm will become your voice. Be honest with me in the comments. When was the last time you stopped yourself from speaking because you were afraid to sound wrong? Share that moment. Someone reading your words might find the courage to begin. If this message touched you, share it with a friend who has been overthinking English for too long. And subscribe to keep walking with me. One story, one day, one small step at a time.